Hey everyone, Dominic here, bringing you another Ravening Report. This time, it's the start of our Fall League. Game 1 here is Vampire Covenant versus the Kingdom of Equitaine. For this game here, we played Encircle with Capture the Flags as a secondary. I'm going to go over my list here and my deployment really quick. For deployment, we've got 2 Bat Swarms, 2 Bat Swarms, 2 Bat Swarms. We have a unit here that is the Winged Reapers, as I wait for my actual models to show up in the mail. They have halberds. We've got a Fell Wraith with a great weapon out here. Fell Wraith with a great weapon back here. We've got a unit of 8 Barrow Knights with full command and the Black Standard of Zavgod. In there we have my Army's General. So he is a Vampire Courtier with the Nosferatu bloodline. He has the Arcane Knowledge, so the +6 range to the spells. He's a Master of Evocation. He's on a Spectral Steed, the flying one, with light armor, paired weapons. He's got the Talisman of Shielding for 5+ ward or Aegis. And lastly, he has the one channel item. I forget what that one's called there. Either way, so he's got channel 2, bunch of spells, couple bounds, and some good range. But he is 3 wounds with 5+5+ save. So a pretty big risk and something I'm not used to. In this unit here, we've got a unit of 40-odd spears. They are full command, and they have the Legion standard. In that unit, I have a Banshee, and I also have my Barrow King BSB. This guy's got a great weapon. It's got the Blessed Inscriptions on it, and then he's got heavy armor with Destiny's Call for that 4+, 4+. That's it for that. Next over, we have a unit of 10 Wraiths. Nothing there. A unit of 25, I believe, Skeleton Warriors, Sword and Board. They have a Champion, and that's it. And in that unit, there is a Necromancer Adept who's got the Necromantic Staff. So again, he's got channel 2, 2 spells, one of which is Arise and then the Bound Arise. And then lastly over there, we've got another Bat Swarm to finish off. So that's the list I used. Something pretty different for me. Trying something new and trying to find something that's outside of what I normally play. So I was the attacker in this situation, and I believe we Kingdom of Equitaine took turn 1, if I'm not mistaken. So for Kingdom of Equitaine, he's got some Pegasus Knights. He's got another unit of Pegasus Knights with the Duke on a Pegasus, and this is the Duke. That is the guy. He's got, I believe these are Knights Aspirant. He's got a unit of Battle Pilgrims with a Reliquary in there. He's got a unit of Knights of the Realm with his BSB in there. And then he's got a unit of Grail Knights with his only a damsel who's an adept of divination as well. Then he has another unit of Knights Aspirant, another unit of Pegasus Knights, and finally he's got his, I believe these are Knights of the Realm as well. So that's what the table looks like as we start turn 1 here. Quick look at the spells. These are the spells for my opponent, and that was my spell selection for the vampires. Of course, the Adept has Spectral Blades and Arise and the Bound Arise, whereas the General has all of this as well as Arise. So, this is the start of turn 1 here. So Kingdom of Equitaine takes turn 1, and they just start pushing forward here. And that's pretty simple, pretty easy for movement. He goes into magic. He really only has the one thing that I'm worried about, which was Fate's Judgment, and we stop that. And he puts his second one, the Stars Align, on the Knight's Aspirant there, just for the sake of it. He's got no shooting, so we go right into Vampire Covenant, turn 1. That's what the things are looking like. So the Winged Reapers shift over to the side, making sure that these guys, his Pegasus Knights, can't run into my backfield. I did leave enough space if he wanted to fly over to get over here, but then I put this Fel Wraith back here to look that direction. So the rest of my lines, right off the start, I didn't actually like what I had for tools because I didn't really have any tools. And with that Duke build the way he is, my Winged Reapers can't really get close to the center of his army. So I'm more or less just sort of sitting, waiting. I had one plan, and we'll see how that goes out here for me. Like I said, to set up that little trap, and we go into magic. We try and do the Dead Arise to bring a unit of zombies right in front of his lines, and he stops that one. We do Hasten the Hour over here, and we do 3 models are going to suffer hits, and he actually gets really lucky with the Dispel roll and stops it. Lastly, we just raise up some skeletons over here, beef up the unit a little bit. That didn't need to happen, but I had nothing else to do. So that's what the table looks like as we go into the start of turn 2 for Kingdom of Equitaine. So these Pegasus Knights decide that they're going to charge in and try out their luck. They make it. The rest of his lines, he continues to shift forward, but now he's more anchoring around that Pegasus unit with the Duke build in the center and trying to sweep the flank. Yeah, so that's kind of what that is. He goes into magic. He does the Stars Align off on the Battle Pilgrims, which I let go off because I didn't really care too much, and then tries to do Fate's Judgment over here, which I dispel. We go into combat. He causes a single wound to me, and I actually kind of whiff. I think I did 2 wounds back to him. So it's a complete push, and we're just like that. So that's what the table looks like as we go into the start of turn 2 for Vampire Covenant. So of course, this one Fel Wraith here is going to charge the flank just to go help out. He makes it in, and that's pretty much it. We move up the spears sort of in range of everything, but keeping all except for 1 unit of Knights of the Realm on the far side there in the front. And the Banshee runs up over here just to kind of... My hope was I could maybe stop one of these units in its tracks or let him, waste some time on this Banshee kind of thing. The Bat's just kind of moving up. I was hoping that he would maybe charge. This is kind of a far charge for those Pegasus Knights. But either way, we go into magic. We get the wound back, and we cast Ancestral Aid on these Winged Reapers, which it goes off. We try to do Hasten the Hour, which I believe went off and killed 2 guys. We go into shooting. We kill off, I think, 2 Battle Pilgrims. And over here, we just crush those 2 remaining Pegasus Knights. The Fel Wraith just kind of turns around. Everything faces the center now. So that's what the table looks like as we start turn 3 for Kingdom of Equitaine. So he does make this charge. He actually goes the furthest one into the Wraiths. Declares that charge. He declares this charge into the Banshee, which is going to be into the front. And the Battle Pilgrims go into those spears. The Knights of the Realm go with his B and speed, go into the spears. And he also declared that really far one there into the flank. And the Pegasus Knights fail. As you can see, the These Knights of the Realm fail, but both these units make it in. And that's pretty much what the table looks like. He goes into Magic. He does Fate's Judgment over here, which he does the big one, and I decide that this is probably the one I'm going to have to let off, because I don't want him to get Divine Attacks on his Knights and just kill off my my BSB. So, manages to kill off 4 guys with that. And then he tries to do the Stars Align over here, which I stop. We go into combat. He does 2 wounds. Actually, I did a wound to him, he did a wound to me. And he's got a charge and a wound, and I did a wound, so I suffer another one. Over in this combat, my BSB issues a challenge. His BSB decides to accept. We do that fight. He doesn't put a single scratch on my BSB, and my BSB turns around and just wipes that guy off the face of the earth. He did 4 wounds with the multiple 2 against standard. Other than that, he continues to chip away at the spears, but he's got a long way to go there. He does win, but he's lost the BSB now. That was it for that. So we start off turn 3. We charge this Bat Swarm into the flank of the Knight's Aspirant over here. He makes it in, and that's pretty much it. We move up the other bats. On the far flank over here is Chaff, and we're going to accept that one from the Pegasus Knights into the Wraiths. I think that's okay. Again, his Duke and my Winged Reapers are just keeping distance. I do have a Fel Wraith up here, Fel Wraith over here. Was maybe taking a bit of a chance. If he brings those Pegasus Knights over here, I can actually maybe get the charge, and then that guy's not so scary, but I didn't think he'd fall for it, so we go into Magic. We do Hasten the Hour. We managed to kill off a couple more guys here, so there's a unit champion and the Damsel left. We gain a wound back on that Banshee. But that was it. We go into Magic or combat. He puts a wound in the Bat Swarm, puts a wound in the Banshee, and I think that's actually from Crumble, because I think he did a wound here. I did a charge on a flank. Either way, we continue to fight up here, and my BSB is just killing off a couple Knights. The Spears are killing off as many Peasants as they can. He does win again, but he's still got a long way to go there. So that's what the table looks like as we're heading into, I believe this would be turn 4 for Kingdom of Equitaine. So like I said, those Pegasus Knights are coming in. The Knights of the Realm are going into the bats that are chaffing. And then over here is Knight's Aspirant, as well as his last remaining Grail Knight, are charging into the other skeleton bunker with the Necromancer. His general also decided to help out over here and charge a flank of that Banshee. These guys make it in, but the Knights of the what are they? The Grail Knight fails. That makes it in. That makes it in. He goes into Magic. Does Fate's Judgment. Does looks like 6 wounds to the bats back here with that, which is fine. And then he does Guiding Light. Puts a Guiding Light on these Knight's Aspirant. And I think he tried to do the Stars Align somewhere, but I stopped that one. We go into combat. His Duke Lord just eliminates the Banshee, not a problem. He wins, but it's actually not by much. So I only suffer another wound here for Crumble, because he did a charge and a wound. That was it. So I think I may have even done a wound or something like that. But either way, or I had a flank, I suppose. So we stick there. He turns to face. Over here, they finish off their Bat Swarm, and I think they just stayed put where they were. Over here, this one was a little bit of a surprise. He does quite a bit of damage, and I whiff my damage back. So I crumble down to just 2 guys. And over in this fight, this time we do enough damage. The Knights break and run away, but the Pilgrims stick on stubborn, of course. Over here, he puts 2 wounds on the Necromancer, another 2 wounds on the unit. I don't think I do anything back to him, but I've got 3 ranks so don't really crumble anything out. But that's what the table looks like as we're heading into the start of turn 4 for Vampire Covenant. So this Fel Wraith here is going to charge the corner of the Knight's Aspirant here. And these bats are going to charge the flank of those Battle Pilgrims. And this is kind of the only thing, like I said, I had a plan earlier. This was about the only step that I feel in this game actually went to a good plan. So charge over here. That one makes it in. This guy actually fails his charge. He needed like a 4 on the dice. Rolls a 3. So can't get in. This other Fel Wraith over here moves up, does a sweep attack, kills off a knight. And that's pretty much it. We go into magic. We do Spectral Blades for Fail to Wound and Lethal Strike on my Sword and Board Skellies. We do Hasten the Hour over here, which he stops. And I think we got an Arise off, potentially. No, we got Ancestral Aid. That was the one. Ancestral Aid off on the Spear Skeletons. Right here, he continues to fight this out. Knocks me down to do just 1 wound left on a Bat Swarm. Over here, the last 2 Wraiths, he whiffs his attacks. The 2 Wraiths put a couple wounds. He flees. I don't catch him, but now we're looking like that. Over here, we fight the Battle Pilgrims a bunch, and this is the step I kind of reshift my lines after this turn, and the BSB makes way this time to get into more base contact. Because now my plan here, this is the only thing I thought I did good. He's got a good flank charge over here, but there's not a lot to kill with these Bat Swarms. So I don't think he's going to bring his Duke in, because then his Duke is going to be over here. But I figured he might bring those Pegasus Knights in. So what I do is I move this guy over here to break this Stubborn on this, so that if these guys are still alive by some miracle, I can break both units in the same time and overrun or pursue into his backfield here. So we'll see how that goes. That's what the table looks like as we go into turn 5. So he brings the Knights... oh, sorry. I forgot. I missed a picture here. In the other skeleton, the Sword and Board skeleton fight, he does kill the Necromancer, but I actually win that combat, and we break him, we catch him, and we actually overrun or pursue into his Damsel and last remaining Grail Knight. So the start of turn 5, he brings his unit of Knights of the Realm into that skeleton block. Like I said, those Pegasus do decide to charge into the Bat Swarms. They make it. The Knights of the Realm make it. His remaining Pegasus Knight over here rallies, moves the general over this way, kind of looking in this direction. And surprisingly, his other Knights of the Realm over here rally as well. So he goes into magic. Does the stars align, which I actually think may have went off. We go into combat. He fights it out and kills, after crumbles of course, kills all except for the unit champion, who's just stuck there fighting those 2 units, which is actually pretty decent for me, I think. And like I said, this one went exactly the way I thought. The BSB kills the Reliquary, breaking his Stubborn. He didn't kill all of the Bat Swarms on the side over here. Had 2 wounds left. So we win combat. We break both units, but both units get away. So that's what the table looks like as we're heading into the start of turn 5 for Vampire Covenant. So we got a lot that goes on here. The first thing is I believe the Skeletons declare a charge against the Battle Pilgrims, who flee. And then we declare a charge, I believe, from the... we did this in this order. So this Fel Wraith goes into the front of these Knights Aspirant. They're good on their terror, and they stick. The Bat Swarm decides to charge the Pilgrims again, and they flee. They end up over here, opening up this Fel Wraith to charge the flank of these fleeing Pegasus Knights, which they of course flee. I think I may have done this in a different order here, because I forget what was going on. I don't think these spears charged here first. I think it was the bat swarms that pushed these guys back that whole way. I think these pictures might be out of order. Either way. So yeah, we redirect. Sorry, we don't redirect. We were going to declare this charge first, and instead I declare this one. Yeah, because these guys didn't charge the didn't declare the charge against battle pilgrims. Something else had done that. But either way, so the battle pilgrims out of the way. This guy charged over here. These guys declare this charge just to make them flee, which of course they do. And then we redirect into the flank of these guys over here. And then, lastly over here, my general's unit charges the Knights of the Realm over here. So, all in all, the Bat Swarm caught the Battle Pilgrims. This guy failed, just kind of stumbles forward. The Fell Wraith and the big unit of spears make it into the Knight's Aspirant. These guys do a sweep attack through here, only managed to do 1 wound. And my general's unit did make this charge as well. They did make that. And then we go into magic. So we do a rise in a 15-inch bubble from my general. We gain some skeletons back, and we gain some wraiths back, gain some other wounds here and there. Do ancestral aid over here, and I think that one goes off. And we also did, or tried to do, actually I think we did it. We got Whispers of the Veil off on his Grail Knight unit. Go into combat between the BSB and the Fell Wraith. And actually the Spears had to do their attack. I figured just those two with the Grey weapons would be enough, but we did manage to kill them to a guy, and we just turn around like so. So both the Fell Wraiths are facing these Pegasus Knights should they rally. We do this fight. I win combat. His Knights of the Realm break and flee. But what ends up happening is his damsel goes ahead and he's got the Potion of Strength. He does a crush attack. And like I said, my general's only got a 5-up. So it was really surprising. He puts 2 wounds on him, so I'm okay. But that was not ideal. Failed the Vampiric roll too, so that's what the table looks like as we're going into turn 6 for Kingdom of Equitaine. So that last remaining Pegasus Knight is going to charge in. His Knights of the Realm up here rally. His other Knights of the Realm that are still fleeing don't rally, and the Pegasus Knights rally. He goes into magic. He only had the 1 spell that could do anything, and I stopped it. We go into fighting or combat. I think he challenged with his Pegasus Knight, who's a champion. I accepted with my general being wounded, and I got lucky, killed him off. Over here, he does a bunch of wounds. Oh, his general charged in to this fight as well, but he doesn't kill out everything. So there's 2 skeletons left there, and one of which is a champion. That's important for the next turn. But yeah, that's kind of how things are looking like, I think, there. As we're heading into final turn 6 for Vampire Covenant. So we charge the Bat Swarm into the fleeing Knights of the Realm. They flee off the table. Both these Fell Wraiths go into his Pegasus Knights. They both make it. And we charge the flank of these Knights of the Realm as well. We go into magic. We did a rise, which I believe he stopped. And then we do Whispers of the Veil for the -1 resilience, -1 discipline on his Knights of the Realm. We go into combat. He does a wound to me. I do a bunch to him. I chase him down and catch him. We go into this other fight over here. This time his general issues a challenge and my unit champion accepts, and he whiffs his attacks. I think he did 2 wounds, even with the Pegasus. It was shocking. So his Grail Knight's alive. We kill off his Damsel this turn, because we don't want any more of that nonsense. But yeah, that's kind of how things look there. We go into this fight. I don't know if I took a picture of it or not, but he puts 2 wounds on the 1 Fell Wraith, and I think I killed that unit to a guy. Either that or we caught him and pursued. Count out the points. It's a 19-1 victory for the Vampire Covenant, with the Vampire Covenant picking up that secondary objective. Like I said, although I got a 19-1 there, I don't feel like this game was really... I think it was more dumb luck than anything on my part. Because from turn 1, I didn't feel like my stuff was in good position. I didn't have the necessary things to fight his army, or really any army. So the list for the second game is probably going to change up a little bit, but there's a few things there that I'm keeping sort of the general idea, with the big spear block and a lot of they're like the race and the Fell Wraiths and things like that. So, as well as the Nosferatu bloodline. But hope you guys enjoy the battle. Stay tuned for the next one.